Welcome to the Audacity to Age, where becoming never gets old. I'm Kristie Crenshaw, and this is a place for women who believe life's most meaningful chapters aren't behind them, they're being written right now. Together, we'll explore the stories, lessons learned, reinventions, and unexpected joys that come with life after 50. Together, we'll challenge old thinking, embrace new possibilities, and discover what it means to age with purpose, curiosity, originality, and verve. So grab your coffee, lace up your walking shoes, or settle into your favorite chair. This is the Audacity to Age. This episode covers my why. Why did I start this podcast in the first place? And I'll sum it up to tell you that instead of being nearly invisible and just fading away, I want to lean into an audacious next chapter. And I want to learn from the lessons of women who have done incredible things before their 50s and continue to long after. Have a listen. So before I have all of my guests on and do interviews with them, I thought, it really is fair to go first, to walk that path first, to share those things first. So this is part of that. In looking at my why and wanting to share why I created this in the first place, it's important to know what the word audacious or audacity means and what I've pulled from that Merriam-Webster definition. Intrepidly daring, this is audacious, by the way, intrepidly daring, marked by originality and verve. I love that. If ever there was a point in my life that I needed originality and verve, it's right now. I need that. I can't be the only one who is craving that type of injection into their life. So I found myself in my 50s now. I will actually, as I'm recording this, turn 54 tomorrow. January 9th is my birthday. So by the time you get this or read this or review this, I will be well into my 54th year of life on this planet. And I found myself feeling invisible. And I know I'm not the only one. And I know a lot of women feel that way at that point. It's funny. When I was in high school as a teenager, I had a part-time job working in this gift shop, the Balloon Lady gift shop. And there was a huge section that was the over the hill section. And I didn't get it. I didn't think it was that funny. I didn't understand what that meant. But now that I'm here, I get it. I get it. I see that once that rock goes over the hill, it starts to roll down very, very quickly, and time passes very, very quickly. And so what I'm compelled to do with this podcast and with the Substack is hopefully encourage women over 50 to do the thing that they really want to do with their lives, to be the woman that they've always thought about in the back of their head, to have an adventure, to try something new, to love themselves enough to treat themselves like someone they're responsible for. And so that's part of the effort here. I have a story I'd like to share because this is indicative of what this problem is, this invisibility issue. When the first big recession happened back in, when I say first, the one that I lived through the first time in fall of 2008, January 2009 is I think when it got the worst for me anyway. But I moved back home to Kentucky from Houston, Texas. I was broke and divorced and could not find a job in the communications field that I thought I was very well suited for. And let's be honest, if you're broke and divorced, your self-esteem takes a little bit of a beating as well. So I wasn't super confident. And the one thing I could do really well was makeup. I had competed in pageants. I had majored in theater, double majored theater, radio, television, done makeup for shows every semester in college, and done some modeling. I could do a face. I could do a face. And so cosmetics, if you don't know this, is a recession-proof industry. Women will spend money on their makeup, on their skincare, They might skip a meal, but they're buying that Chanel lipstick or they're buying that Dior blush, whatever. If you cannot afford to put beautiful couture clothing in your closet, you can still likely afford a luxurious lipstick. And that was where I found myself working for Dior Cosmetics. I was a counter manager during the recession of 2009. And gradually, I worked through a few different lines and then left to work as a regional artist on my own. So I freelanced. And in doing so, I was part of a regional team for multiple brands, luxe brands, where they would have these massive events. And you would come in and sit down and you'd get the pampering and the skincare. And we'd do the consultation. I'd do your whole face. And we had a massive goal to hit that day. But what was really interesting to me is that there was a season for that. There was a spring season and a fall season where all of the different cosmetic lines in the major department stores would have their events, and it would stagger depending on the type of line that it was. What I noticed is I kept seeing a lot of the same women coming to the same events. There was one in particular that she was a lovely woman, very, very friendly, very petite, had adorable clothing, beautiful jewels, very friendly. She was just a sweet woman. And she came to almost all of the events, meaning like she would be at Dior one day, she would be at Bobbi Brown the next week, and the following week she'd be at Lancôme. And every time, without fail, she would leave with a massive bag of goodies, of her skincare, her makeup, or whatever. And I'm talking, especially if you're working for a luxury line, that retail total was anywhere from $500 to $1,200. Now, I also started to notice that she would come back with her little bag about 2 or 3 days later after the event, and she would return most of her items, most if not all. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. She's a repeat returner, one of those. But then I realized as I started to spend more time, when I got better at my own craft and I was able to forget about thinking what I was doing and I was able to really focus and talk with my client, I recognized that these women that come to these events largely, they're not searching for the best lipstick on the planet. What they're searching for is connection. What they are craving is to be seen. What they desire more than anything is for someone to give a damn what they think about anything. And so to be able to schedule an appointment and sit in someone's chair and get pampered and loved on and made pretty with makeup and out the door you go, but have that time focused on you was worth every penny to them. Now, that's just one example. I know women that don't wear makeup, don't dress to the nines, very confident, beautiful women, but still feel like they are invisible once they've hit a certain spot in life. I can remember sitting around conference room tables in a corporate job, and the older women there didn't always speak up. And largely because it's my belief and confirmed through other conversations that it's because what's the point? They don't listen. They don't listen to me. Or they have said the same thing 14 other ways, and it's not as relevant. They do not feel as relevant. So there's that invisibility thing going on. A lot of women equally find themselves in a new territory at 50. For some, they find themselves divorced, they find themselves widowed, or they find that they have an empty nest and they don't know how to be with their spouse, whom they love, but they don't know how to connect. And so that is odd territory to find yourself in. It's one thing to reinvent yourself when you are young and you have your entire life ahead of you. That seems like the perfect time to do that. But what about now? So I don't want to be one of those women that fades away into the background. And I'm not craving attention. I know that might sound counter to like, why are you doing a podcast if you don't want attention? I want to interview really interesting women. I love story. I love seeing that moment on someone's face when they see themselves differently. When they have an aha moment or an epiphany about their own life and the value they brought, or the joy that they created, or the love that they lived through and were lucky enough to receive. Those are the real moments. And you've heard that trust recession word tossed around quite a bit right now. And I know that AI can do its thing, but I want to talk to people. I want to talk to real women. And if you know me at all, you know that I hate, like hate small talk. I hate it. I really do. I do it sometimes when I have to. I'll do the smile and nod. I'll talk about the weather. I'll say, hey, what are you excited about this week? The typical networking type of conversations. And that is something that you kind of have to do everywhere. But in my podcast, this is my little world here. I can sit down with whomever I choose and we can go deep really quickly because that's the expectation. So I love that personally. And that fills a need for me as I am building what my 50 plus life looks like. I have let a lot of things fall away in the same way as a snake sheds a skin that no longer serve me, social circles that I don't feel aligned with anymore from a value standpoint, activities that seem pointless to me because they don't resonate with my value system anymore. Being able to invite women whom I am curious about, whom I respect, who are doing something that I find super interesting and engaging. Like, I want to know what got you there. What made you decide that you could start this new business? What was the impetus for your world traveling trip around Europe? What is the thing, the moment of clarity, the epiphany? What is that moment that allowed you to release the need to ask permission to live your life? That's what I want. The audacity to age. Because frankly, for a long time, women were young and beautiful, and then they disappeared, right? Back to that invisibility thing. And now we are seeing more of a resurgence of appreciation for older women, mature women, experienced women. There are several on my list that I would practically give my eye teeth to sit down and talk with because I find them fascinating and I want to know, I want to hear their stories. So that's what this is meant to be. Also, the fact that in this audacity to age thing, some women don't feel, I take this back. Some women, in feeling invisible, go to the opposite guardrail and cling to youth with a desperation that is sad to me. And I know you've seen some of them out there. Yes, fashion, makeup, hair, like that's part of your self-expression. Fine. Do you, whatever. But there are some that really take it to an advantage there are some that push to the opposite guardrail and go overboard in a way that makes me feel sad for them. And maybe that is a fault of mine that I can't appreciate that for them. We're going to find out because I am willing to be challenged on my thoughts on that. And I certainly want to engage with women that are strong and that own their opinions. They take ownership. They take accountability. Accountability is a big word for me. Accountability for who they are and what they're doing and who they impact. So that's part of it. Another reason that I wanted to start the podcast, The Audacity to Age, and the Substack as well, is that I felt like I was hiding my talents. And I mean, like the scriptural servant and the talents, I hid it. I buried it in the ground. I spent many decades chasing after corporate work that really wasn't in alignment with my gifts, my natural God-given gifts that I used early on in my life, in my late teens, in my early 20s. And then life happens and you make different choices and you find yourself living a life that you don't recognize, but you're too far in and you feel like you can't get out. That can happen. That did happen. And so here I am really trying to live my most honest, truthful, loving life that I can. And the best way that I can do that and bring honor to my Creator is to take the things that He gave me and use them to the best of my ability to do some good, to spread some joy, to let someone somewhere feel a little less alone and a little more encouraged to be who they naturally are. So that is my why. That is my why for the Audacity to Age. And I have one tiny little call to action for you. If you're in my age group, then you remember those Fabergé maybe commercials where she told two friends and she told two friends and she told, you get it. I want you to tell two friends about the podcast, The Audacity to Age. I want you to send it to two friends. You can click the link and send it via text and say, hey, give this a listen. I would so appreciate it so very much because I want this to grow. This is part of my future vision for myself, not just a project that I have been fighting, resisting, and pushing back away for months now. And I can't do that anymore. Can't do it anymore. So I invite you to join me. If you are a 50 plus woman, you're going to find people here that are your people. You're going to find women that can inspire you to do something different, try something new, revisit an old yearning for creativity or music or travel or writing or building something or business. And if you're under 50, you're still going to be inspired, I would think, because there is something about women over 50 that just really don't care anymore about offending people quite so much. And that is where the values alignment is important for me. It's really easy for me to say no to certain things now because it's obvious. It's not my jam. And I can tell you, if you are a younger woman and you haven't yet figured out what those things are for you, when you do, your life will open up and change in a way you're not prepared for, in the best way possible. So hang out, come and listen to my lovely little new podcast, The Audacity to Age, where I hope that I too can be creative and original and have verve and daring and bold and all the things that audacious stands for. I have some incredibly wonderful women on deck for our interviews, and I can't wait to have them as guests on the show. And I hope you'll listen in. I'd love your feedback. I'd love for you to share it with a friend if you think it's decent. If you don't, then let me know why. Let me know why. And if I think you're reasonable, I might do something about it. So that's it for me. I appreciate you listening in on my why for the Audacity to Age. I hope you have an audacious, wild, beautiful life. We'll see you on the next episode.
This is Kristie Crenshaw. Thanks for joining me at the Audacity to Age, where becoming never gets old. If you'd like more stories, insights, and encouragement for navigating life after 50 with purpose and possibility, subscribe to my Substack, The Audacity to Age on Substack. And if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, rate, review, and share it with someone you love. Until next time, keep choosing curiosity over complacency and possibility over limitation. How will you be intrepidly daring, marked by originality and verve in life post 50? That's having the audacity to age. I'll see you soon.